Joy Reid's final show was a disaster, something along the lines of what I like to refer to as dump truck juice.
Oh, hurry up.
Chitty chitty bang bang. It finally happened, y'all. She gone. Gone like the wind blows. And I know change gon' come. Oh, yes it is. Roll the tape.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, despair is what you call free. Just like MSNBC losing millions because of your show. And if you all are wondering, at least from our research, it appears that Joy Reid was making $3 million a year. In 2024, they started making cuts and her salary was cut to 1.5. They were giving her 1.5 million for that garbage. It's about time. They tried to spin this into a sentimental farewell, but let's be real, y'all. That show was a train wreck from the beginning. If she was so important, why was her show getting subpar views? They're acting like Joy Reid was some type of historic icon, but in actuality, she was just another DNC puppet on the strings.
There are no strings on me.
In 2020, Reid mocked police officers who declined to get the COVID-19 vaccine.
So for putting Americans in danger, officers and unions who are fighting against vaccine mandates, which essentially means fighting to make the public sick, are tonight's absolute worst.
In 2022, she compared Floridians fleeing the Sunshine State in the wake of Hurricane Ian to waves of illegal immigrants crossing the U.S. border.
Be careful about attacking people who have to move to save their own lives and safety, because you never know when it's your people that have to move, when it's your people who have to migrate, when it's your people who have to get on that road.
And in 2024, claimed that Republicans were voting based on, quote, racial animus.
They're increasingly, from the Tea Party on, they're voting on race. They're voting on this idea of an invasion of brown people over the border. The idea that they can't get whatever job they want. A black person got it, therefore drive all the blacks out of the colleges.
In the lead up to Donald Trump's second term in the White House, Reid condemned the white Christians who supported him in the Iowa caucuses, claiming they want non-whites to bow down to them.
None of that matters when you believe that God has given you this country, that it is yours, and that everyone who is not a white conservative Christian is a fraudulent American.
And here's some of Joy Reid's worst moments. Check these top 3 Joy Reid epic fails. Number 3, the fake hacker excuse. Joy got busted for homophobic blogs and blamed hackers. Number 2, didn't know how the internet works. She claimed Google archives got hacked in order to fake her own words. And number 1 on the list, the nightly race baiting Olympics, which I believe I can say are pretty disgusting and terrible to watch. I've never seen someone stoke the flame like that. I mean, she turned everything into a race issue, even hurricanes. How? Drop a comment below and let us know what you think is one of Joy Reid's worst takes ever. We might be missing something juicy.
But the email presented Americans with one of the other really perfect responses to fascism: ridicule. Journalist Allison Gill from a Substack called The Breakdown posted some of the best fictional responses that appeared online in response to the question, what would you really like to say in your response? Some of the best included: number 1, kept refreshing email to see if I was fired or placed on administrative leave. Number 2, tried to concentrate over the sound of colleagues cleaning out their desks. Number 3, accommodated the requests for access to classified data by big balls. Number 4, had a scotch. Number 5, researched countries I can relocate to. Another one said, drank it old-fashioned. Number 2, took a nap. Number 3, delighted coworkers with sarcasm. Number 4, dropped a tray of chocolate-covered pretzels in the conference room before the town hall. Number 5, put Black History Month stickers on bulletin board and gave out emotional support dumpster fires. And last but not least, number 1, executed low productivity tasking. Number 2, identified opportunities to transition to high productivity tasking. Number 3, developed a plan for Doge to F off. Number 4, all the Teams meetings. Number 5, responded to meaningless emails about task execution.
These kiki kaka responses might be hilarious if the situation wasn't dead serious. We've got a $37 trillion national debt with a $2.5 trillion annual deficit, and Joy Reid thinks this is all a joke. Private sector workers get performance reviews all the time. Why should government workers be immune? Or is that not a word anymore because of Fauci?
Black Lives Matter covered. We've covered a lot of the way that Black people are treated. We're now seeing these this is not a Black people thing. You're seeing in all white audiences in places like Idaho, people being dragged from their seats, being treated brutally. You're seeing federal workers who've now had to sue because they get an insulting email saying, justify your job, or we're going to have to remove you, and a 19-year-old Senate. Can you talk about the sort of legal recourse and fight back?
Sure. So I became a lawyer inspired by heroes like Thurgood Marshall and Constance Baker Motley, who the last time there was a constitutional crisis when southern states just weren't going to follow Brown versus Board, they said you have to, and they made them. And so now we have judges who are stepping up. There are 20 different lawsuits already generated by Trump 2.0. A judge has told Trump that you cannot freeze money that Congress has allocated for foreign aid.
The media wants you to think these protests are real, but we all know and we've seen in the past, these are paid Democrat activists. If we haven't seen yet, Trump's agenda is polling in the high 70s. So this agenda, it's fake. It's like resistance is futile.
Strength is irrelevant. Resistance is futile.
People, it's easy like Sunday morning to pick a town hall meeting with 300 angry liberals and pretend like it's a movement. We see right through it.
I wanted you guys to be here with me because you are my comrades in arms in covering this insane moment that we're in when it comes to what is happening in our country. I want to start with you, Rachel. I would love for you to give our audience just your take, your tips. What do you think people can be doing right now that's effective?
Well, first I want to say that I love you, Joy.
I love
and
you.
that I am bereft that the readout is ending. I just can't even, I sort of can't get beyond that. So I want to say that.
The end of the readout and your departure is despair. And the only thing that chips away at that for me is that despair is the autocrat's tool. It's their most effective weapon. It costs nothing. It's easy to deploy. It's contagious. And then it puts in motion all the actions they want.
You know, you absolutely must now be committed with every bit of strength you have, again, against something that seemed hopeless.
Rachel Maddow is acting like Joe Reid was FDR, giving a fireside chat. Newsflash, she was a mid-tier TV host. If she was so critical to democracy, why did MSNBC give her the deuces? Now the left is turning on MSNBC, flesh of their flesh and blood of their blood, calling them racist for firing a Black woman. You can't make this up.
The readout worked because everybody from the interns on up put their whole heart into it. So before we go, tonight, my moment of joy is to tell you just some of the names of the people who made this show happen. From Nathan Mutale, our amazing and always well-dressed intern. Raven Sievers, our fabulous tape producer. Lily Guthrie, who keeps our graphics looking fab. Our awesome associate producers, Adam Garnett, who understands, as I do, that every story is really a story about Brooklyn. And Julia Dirtzman, Go Liberty. So there you go, you converted me. Our genius producers, Tori James, our marathon runner. Andres Penfold Perez, our man of many faces. Valerie McCabe, my cut-up partner during the meetings. Tiffany Mullen.
3 hours later.
Jonathan Hellman, who I will miss reciting his segments during the show meetings and helping me tell stories using children's poems. Kai Ma, who channels my whole entire brain, and also our resident sports expert. Senior producer Pete Fall, probably the most cool-headed, kind person I have ever worked with in this business. Our line producer Rachel Whitkin, the conscience of the readout. And with Tori, our other resident Swiftie. Our phenomenal booking producers, Leslie Frazier, a.k.a. our Disney princess. Patrick Judge, my fellow comic fan. Digital producer Alexis Stodgehill, my ride or die social media super friend. Our phenomenal blog editor, Jahan Jones. The downtown Sterling Brown.
50 different people worked on this train wreck of a show, and it's still belly flop. This is why that side is failing at business and government. They don't care about results. MSNBC finally realized they can't keep setting money on fire.
My show had value, and that, I'm sorry, that what I was doing had value. And in the end, I'm sorry, I try not to cry on TV. And I say this is kind of like me on TV, so I apologize. and that it kind of, and then it mattered. I see Karen is there, and she's been texting me as well. And so what I will just say is that in the end, thank you.
Where else would she get paid to be the puppet on the strings with the low IQ, low hanging fruit takes? Funny how that farewell was all smiles, but when the cameras were off, she was sobbing profusely. Now, mark my words, that's a mean moment waiting to happen. Now that Joy Reid's off there, who's next? My pick? I'd say probably The View, but they give us so much ammo and so much content, we'd hate to lose that, even though it's utter buffoonery. Honorable mentions? Anybody? Rachel Maddow and Abby Phillip. Drop your picks in the comment section below and let us know who you think's next on the chopping block. MSNBC, they're crumbling. Who's next? Smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that notifications bell so you don't miss any more of our up and coming content. God bless.
Listen.